A trio in disarray, a grieving brother, and Matthew Broderick? Hello everyone, it's Jason here. Let's talk Only Murders in the Building, Season 3. Today, of course, I'll be talking about Episode 7 titled Cobro. At the start of the video, I will give clues, Easter eggs, theories, and suspects. And in the latter portion of the video, I will give my review. That being said, I will be talking major spoilers, so if you haven't seen Episode 7, Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, stop the video, head over to Hulu, check it out, and come on back, and we can talk about it. But now that we're past the spoiler warning, let's get back to sleuthing, shall we? Now, we can't go any further without talking this week's Easter egg. As we pan up to Charles's apartment, we see his wallpaper is littered with little red rattles, similar to the pattern of the hankies that Ben gave out as an opening night gift. Oliver is trying desperately to recast Charles's part for Death Rattle Dazzle as it opens in 2 weeks, but to no avail. No one is really impressing him until one of the producers, Cliff, reveals that he has a secret weapon that's going to change everything. Charles is adjusting to life as alone, but in a sort of denial that Mabel and Oliver will reach out to him first and apologize for everything. In all this, he befriends Uma, whom he discovers snatched the hanky out of Ben's cold, dead hands the night he died. Mabel is working to move out of her aunt's apartment with Theo Demas's help, and while she's stumped on the Ben Glenroy case, Theo suggests talking to Dickie, Ben's brother, revealing that Dickie's holding a silent auction of Ben's memorabilia up in the penthouse. Turns out Cliff's secret weapon is Broadway superstar Matthew Broderick. Now, Oliver is quite taken with having Matthew Broderick as part of the cast because he can sing, he can act, everything that really he believes Charles can't. Now, this is, of course, much to Charles's dismay. At the silent auction, Mabel questions Dickie, and he becomes upset and storms off, believing Mabel's trying to make a quick buck off of his brother's death, which is exactly what he's doing at this silent auction. Oliver is having a great time rehearsing with Matthew Broderick, but quickly discovers that Matthew Broderick's methods are a bit more intense than he was hoping for. Desperate to reconnect with the group, Charles begs Uma for the hanky, believing it to be just the clue that he needs to bring them all back together. Of course, Uma tells him that she no longer has it because she sold it to one of those Cobro fans up at the auction for $7,000. Back at the auction, Mabel finally gets through to Dickie, and Dickie reveals that he was adopted because his parents didn't think they would be able to have a child until, of course, they had Ben. And that he took care of Ben, and Ben got everything. He got all the fame, the fortune, the credit. We find that possibly Dickie's quite resentful of Ben. Oliver, who feels like he's being trapped by Matthew Broderick, finally stands up to him and decides to fire him, and that Charles was a much better option because he made things more fun and less grueling. Charles, who just decides to apologize anyway, goes to Oliver's apartment, and the two of them reconcile. Matthew Broderick is ejected from Oliver's apartment, and it's there, of course, that the two of them discuss the things that they've discovered. Uma having the hanky that Ben was holding, and of course Oliver being in possession of Loretta's Ben Glenroy scrapbook. He shows the scrapbook to Charles, who doesn't think that that's evidence that Loretta's the killer, and suggests to Oliver that he simply talks to her as he should have talked to Joy in the first place. The two of them decide, of course, to reconcile with Mabel, who, with Theo's help, discovered that the original Cobro comic was signed by B. Glenroy, but the B looks like it was converted from an R, Richard Glenroy. So as the three of them decide to record the podcast, Mabel's having second thoughts about doing this on her own, but decides to do it anyway. And as Charles and Oliver go to apologize to Mabel at her aunt's apartment, which they now discover has been, in fact, taken over by the new owners, Mabel has released a new episode of the podcast where she decides she's going solo, which gets the attention of the police. Dickie being the prime suspect is quite an interesting theory. I think that maybe they're onto something. I still believe if Loretta is not the killer, that she had something to do with it, and perhaps her and Dickie were in cahoots. Maybe he's the one who killed Ben, maybe not. With just a few more episodes left, we're going to be closing in on the killer soon, so all will be revealed in time. I thought this was a pretty good episode. I think the inclusion of Matthew Broderick was really fun. It was nice for him to play a exaggerated version of himself. I thought it was really funny. Some of the details, like he wrote code when he was doing war games, like how he's really intense into these roles. The Mel Brooks cameo was one of my favorite bits of the entire episode. It was also really nice to see Theo come back and to see that dynamic that was building between him and Mabel in season 2 kind of really leads to something. Like they are friends because they put that past behind them and they can now grow into their own individual people. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode. It was pretty solid for a near to the end of the season episode. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of Only Murders in the Building season 3 episode 7 down in the comments. Were there any clues I may have missed? Do you have any other theories? Any suspects? I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. You want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell so you can get updates on all my future videos. You can also follow my social media pages. Links are down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.